Calaroga Shark Media.
Hi there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news, a daily briefing on stand-up comedy, comedians, and the comedy industry, which is a phrase someone would say if they were trying to train the Spotify transcription algorithm to rank their show higher. And don't forget, follow the show on Spotify. Welcome to Daily Comedy News 2025 Unwrapped. Johnny Mac, did you need an extra episode? Is the news a little light heading into Christmas holidays? No, what are you kidding? I worked for hours on this. You're acting like I exported an XML file and threw it into ChatGPT and it spit out a script. You're crazy, because if it spit out a script, I would be saying words like, "What's up, comedy fans? Welcome to a very special episode of Daily Comedy News. I'm Johnny Mac, and today we're doing something different." See, now that's what would happen if I did such a thing. I worked for days, maybe months on this. All right, here's what happened. The AI went through 388 episodes between January 1st and the December 18th episodes and pulled the data to see what I talked about the most. I'm not sure I agree with all this data, but it makes for a good conversation starter, and you, the listener, can weigh in or not. Here are the comedians that were mentioned the most in 2025. Now, if you put an iced coffee to my head and were like, "I'm going to pour this on you if you don't answer quickly," I don't know, I would have guessed Sandler? Somebody like that? But according to the AI, the most mentioned comedian of the year was Bill Burr with 135 mentions, Mulaney with 121, Shane Gillis with 112, Sandler only 99 times, seems low, Nikki Glaser at 96, Conan at 95, Maron at 92, Kimmel at 91, Jim Gaffigan at only 82, seems low, and the worst person who ever lived, Jay Leno with 81 mentions. So let's analyze the list. Bill Burr, I guess Riyadh came up a lot, and Bill did have a special that I didn't think was good, and then Bill did a couple late-night appearances that weren't that great. And I mentioned I think Bill had the worst year in comedy, so maybe that does make sense. Mulaney, I'm sure I mentioned Mulaney a lot, especially in the first half of the year when he had the Netflix show. Shane Gillis, third? That seems absurdly high, doesn't it? I don't feel like I mentioned Shane that much, but maybe I do because he tests well for SEO. Sandler, I feel like I mentioned Sandler 5 times an episode, so that seems low. Nikki Glaser, that feels right. Conan, that feels right. Maron, yeah, because I probably didn't talk about Maron a lot except around the time when he was hanging it up, and then he probably came up a lot, but on the two sides of that, not so much. Jimmy Kimmel at 91 mentions. Well, for like 2 weeks, I was doing a bonus Jimmy Kimmel episode every day, so yeah, that makes sense. Jim Gaffigan at only 82. I feel like I'm making fun of his bourbon twice a show. And the worst person who ever lived, Jay Leno at 81 mentions. I'm sorry, I apologize to the audience that I would mention such a person. This guy, he's got opinions on late night comedy as if he knows anything about hosting a late night talk show. Plus, he helps his wife with her dementia. What a horrible person, Jay Leno. Yeah, I can't even believe I mentioned him. Some more people mentioned a lot. Pete Davidson, okay. I mentioned Pete yesterday. 79 mentions, seems low. Dave Chappelle with 72, and it wasn't a big Chappelle year, that's probably right. Joe Rogan with 72. One of the tricks of the show is every now and then I need another story, and I Google the words Joe and Rogan so I can throw Joe Rogan Experience in the episode title. So that tracks. Nate Bargatze with 68. Seems a little low, but maybe not. What shows got mentioned according to Daily Comedy News Unwrapped as generated by AI? Number one show, Saturday Night Live with 227 mentions? I guess, because SNL 50 fell in the first half of the year, so yeah, maybe. Netflix at number 2 with 171. A generic mention of just late night as a thing with 74 came in third. Now, I looked at that and I went, no way. But as we'll get to in a minute or two, I have the breakouts of people who hosted late night shows. And of course, I talked about late night a lot. HBO came in fourth with 34, beating out Hulu with 31. Now, Hulu publicist, I would mention your platform there a little bit more if you sent me some information or let me log into your press screener website or connected with me in LinkedIn or maybe even sent me a screener. Kumail Nanjiani special. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. I watched the Knicks on Friday night, and last night I watched movies on Netflix. Didn't even touch the Hulu button. Plus, I had that whole, 3 months there where I wasn't watching Hulu at all because I didn't support fascism, but now that you guys made it clear that you don't support fascism, I have the opportunity to push the green button on the Roku and watch Scrubs without going all the way upstairs to get the DVDs. But I didn't watch Kumail Nanjiani. Send me a screener, guys. And The Daily Show with 22 mentions. That seems low? Maybe not. Most covered topics. So this is the AI skimming through the words. The number one most mentioned word was podcast, 2,017 times. AI says that's more than 5 times per episode on average, and hear from the script that I'm supposed to read. Why? Because podcasts are comedy now. Every comedian has one. Every piece of comedy news seems to happen on a podcast first. Joe Rogan's podcast, Mark Maron's podcast, Theo Von's podcast. Podcasts are where comedians break news, where they have their beefs, where they do their long-form interviews. Podcasts or the new hour special. And special was the number 2 mention with 348. That makes sense. Tour, third at 106. Trump at 95. Move on, John. Move on. Okay. Controversy at number 61. Move on, John. Cancel with 57. Move on, John. Stop. Cut it out. You're going to get people upset and they're not going to listen to your show. Emmys with 31 mentions. Golden Globes with 27, which reminds me, one time Joe Coy hosted the Golden Globes and he wasn't even doing a holiday filler episode. He was being straight. He was hosting the Golden Globes and he made this terrible, horrible joke about Taylor Swift. Here, let's listen.
As you know, we came on after a football doubleheader. The big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes, we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift.
Oscars with 27 mentions and Roast with 27 mentions. Continuing, Daily Comedy News 2025 Unwrapped, late night host coverage. According to the AI breakdown of the show, Conan O'Brien mentioned 95 times, Jimmy Kimmel 91, the worst person who ever lived, Jay Leno 81 mentions. Boy, what did he have, like an opinion about late night television? Like he knows anything about it? What, he hosted the Tonight Show, 22 years? Big deal. Supposed to be impressed? Then he's helping his wife? The nerve of that guy. Jimmy Fallon mentioned 57 times, which was more than Stephen Colbert with 54 mentions. David Letterman mentioned 47 times, probably mostly since September. Seth Meyers mentioned 44 times, and Jon Stewart 37. Boy, I'm doing a terrible job if I'm mentioning Seth Meyers more than Jon Stewart. I think the president needs to get on my case to make 1230 great again. Now, the AI is telling me I'm supposed to read this. So what does all this tell us about comedy in 2025? Key takeaways. SNL still dominates after 50 years. Podcasts are the new format. Bill Burr had a monster year. Shane Gillis completed his redemption arc. Trump still drives comedy. The roast format is back. Controversy still drives conversation. So there you have it. Daily Comedy News 2025 Unwrapped. 388 episodes covering the business, culture, and chaos of comedy. Thank you for listening this year. Thank you for making the show part of your morning routine. We'll be back tomorrow with regular comedy news. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and join our Facebook group. This has been Daily Comedy News. I'm Johnny Mac. Keep laughing, stay informed. We'll see you tomorrow.